So Stellaris is Paradox's first attempt at a grand strategy space game, and with space games, obviously you're going to want to start small and then get bigger and bigger with time. So I couldn't help but notice some of the influences that Paradox brought over from the Civilization series. So I figured I'd do kind of a tutorial for those that have played Civ 5 that want to get into Stellaris. And upon release, Stellaris is a much easier game to comprehend than previous Paradox titles. So if you've never played a Paradox title like EU4 or CK2, any of those games in the past, this is the game to kind of get your feet wet into the kind of the Paradox genre, because I know those games get pretty complicated, and this is not so much that way. Again, it has that very sort of like Civ 5 linear curve in terms of difficulty, I guess, because you're going to start off small and you're going to have to face more and more problems as you expand out into the galaxy. So let's start off with something simple: research. So this is your science from Civ 5, except it's broken down into 3 different categories. So we have physics research, society research, and engineering research. So pretty much kind of simple there. This is kind of a card-based mechanic, so it's not like the tech tree where you have to go down a linear path, or, you know, pretty much ultimately a linear path in Civ 5. These are cards. That's the way this mechanic works. These are random cards that are kind of weighted, so you might see like you're always going to get the New Worlds protocol in the society research right in the very beginning of the game, no matter what. But you're going to see a variation throughout the campaign. You're never going to see the exact same cards pop up every single time. So I think that's kind of cool. I like it a little bit better, to be honest. So that's a very brief overview of research and pretty much the science part of the campaign. So let's start off with something else, something a little bit maybe even easier to understand, is energy. Energy's gold. There you go. That's about it. And honestly, at this stage in the game, you really don't use energy for much, except for like your maintenance, I guess. So you need to have, obviously, just like unit maintenance in Civ 5, you need to have maintenance for your ships and your armies and your buildings and things like that. So it's pretty much used as just kind of a maintenance thing right now. You buy like a little bit of stuff, but at the end of I think that to keep it simple, you pretty much don't really use energy to buy anything. You're just using it for army maintenance. So don't worry if your energy is really high. It's actually good. You want to kind of build up a lot of energy. That way you have it stockpiled, because you will more than likely at some point go into kind of an energy deficiency, and you'll start to cut into what you already have, because I don't know, you might be building a lot of ships to get ready for a war or something like that. Minerals. This is pretty much production. That's exactly what this is. This is hammers from Civ 5. This is production. You want a lot of production, and you don't want to accumulate too many like if you're looking at like strategy-wise, you want to always be doing something with your minerals. Don't have this backed up. You know, you want like a lot of energy backed up in your stockpile to reach down into it and when you have those times of need. But for minerals, always be buying stuff, you know, always be doing as much as you can. This is exactly production. This is diplomatic influence, pretty much. If you played Beyond Earth, this is just influence points. So, you know, you can use this for diplomacy, which this is diplomacy window. Obviously, we haven't met anybody in our galaxy just yet, but this is what you use to pay for kind of diplomatic matters. Or you can do edicts, which are pretty much social policies. Edicts are exactly kind of social policies, and you can look into this and do different things. There's different ways. You're never really going to get that much influence. You're always going to see kind of a low number per month, and that's how just like every Paradox game works. Compared to Civ 5, these values are going to go up per month. So instead of per turn, per month. Kind of the same thing there. So yeah, you're never really going to see that many points from influence per month. It's always going to be kind of a smaller amount, and that's totally fine. Don't even worry about it. You can always get more points by rivaling or upgrading planetary capital buildings to their highest level, things like that. So don't worry about that too much. Policies, this is, I mean, there's no real way to kind of compare this to Civ 5, but you can look into this stuff and set your policies. But for the most part, if you're starting off, don't really worry about this too much. It should be fine in the very beginning. Okay, so the biggest thing, I think, I think the biggest influence Paradox took from Civ 5 and maybe from other campaigns too. I mean, there's a lot of influence from a lot of previous strategy games, and Stellaris really works well putting these influences into a really cohesive game. So this right here, this is population. This is exactly population and citizen management. in like a Civ series. So you'll see my little dudes. I'm a little slug guy. I'm playing as my own created race here. You are picking up yields from the planet. So the yield is pretty simple. We already went over research. So we have we have physics research. This is energy. You can see this icon there. This is society, and we have the final one, engineering. And then we already know what food is, and minerals is production. I mean, this is really straightforward. For Civ fans that are jumping into Stellaris, you're going to understand this, I think, really quickly. You can move around population by holding down your mouse button and clicking wherever you want. You can build buildings in specific tiles as well. So let's say you can see little buildings back behind. See, this dude has nothing behind him. So we can click on him, and we can build something. There's also other advantages that you can do to your population, and notice happiness. Again, kind of another Civ 5 thing. You don't want unhappiness. You don't want to see your species, your people, unhappy, or else they're going to produce less, and they're going to. That's overall just going to hurt your empire. So you want to make sure that you keep people happy. Buildings. So yeah, we can build buildings in each tile, and you want to keep in mind the yield that you have in that tile. Before you build anything. So it's this, you kind of get this concept really quickly. Depending on so since this tile has food, you want to probably build a farm, which is going to give you 4 more food. I'm sorry, two more food, which will bring in 3 yield from that tile. So I mean that's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. One thing you want to remember is that if you want a different type of yield, let's say you want to, build a mining network, you're going to eliminate the yields inside of the tile that it's already producing. So you kind of don't want to do that. You don't want to mess with that. So yeah, just kind of keep that in mind. So yeah, like this looks amazing, the basic science lab. But you don't want to build that because again, it's going to remove the yield from this tile. Just like kind of tile improvements, when your workers are working things, you sometimes remove yield from tiles. I mean, it's pretty crazy, some of the similarities. I really like it. It made me transition over into this game a lot faster. One very important building, especially in the very beginning, is power plants. When you see an energy tile like this, build a power plant, because you're going to lose maintenance very fast. And sometimes it gets a little bit confusing when you start to let's say you have a bunch of ships built. It gets a little bit confusing when you're starting to run a deficit. And you're like, wait, how can I get more money? Power plants. Power plants. This is an easy way to get energy. And so I can build this, and then, I can always shift this guy down here, work the energy instead, and that'll help out a lot more. So that is a basic overview of kind of like planet management. And of course, you're going to colonize more planets. So it's like you have cities from Civ 5, and you're going to have to do the tile management in every planet. One last thing I didn't mention is these orange, what is this? What are these things called again? What are these referred to as? Sprawling slums? No, that is not what it's called. Tile blockers. You don't worry about the yellow, but what you can do is you can clear these out. Yellow is not as worrisome as like a red tile blocker. Sometimes you need technology. So over time, you're going to gather up technology to be able to clear some of these tiles. So I think on your starting planet, you can clear almost... No, actually, this is because we can't afford it, right? There's already a construction project queued in this tile. Yeah, so you're going to be able to really clear these out, and then... So when your population already is filled up over here on the left side, you can start clearing these out for energy. This is like one of the only things I can think of on the top of my head that requires energy, and minerals. And then this is just pretty much the time that it takes. So it's pretty straightforward. So you clear these tiles, that way you can work it, because right now I can't transition a pop on those tile blockers, but don't worry about that. Once you clear it out, then you'll pretty much have a tile like this, where it's just empty. You can build buildings, you can do things like that. And you can upgrade buildings. It's very much cities in Civ 5. This is strategic resources. That's exactly what they are. They are strategic resources. That's straightforward. There you go. You have a limit to the amount of planets you can control. So, you don't want to go over your limit. That's going to hurt. But you can always build sectors. Or you can create a sector if you need to. If you're going over your limit. Where would that be in? I'm guessing under factions. I can't remember because there's nothing here. I haven't really started the campaign at all. But yeah, so you pretty much are able to create sectors. So if you do want to colonize a bunch of planets and you go over 5, you can colonize 7 or 8 and then create a little sector of a sector of 3 so that you go back down under the limit. Here's pretty much your naval force limit. So don't go over your naval force limit, or else you're going to have to pay like a lot of maintenance. So that's very advised against. So yeah, like I said, let's look at some very basic mechanics. So this is your science ship. Your science ship is how you figure out what is in your area, what is in your star system, what is in your solar system. So what you can do is you can right-click on really anything, and you're going to want to survey the system. You can choose to specifically survey one star or one planet. I don't even worry about that. Just hit survey the entire system. This guy's going to go around and he's going to do exactly that. And what he is going to do is, I'm going to go to speed 3 here. Yeah, so he's going around and he's figuring out things that are in our system. So as soon as he's done with that, that's when we use our construction chip. So right now we haven't really seen any yield. That's what he's doing. He's looking for yields. So you can get yield from both your planets as well as some of the artifacts or some of the planets or moons or asteroids in the system as well. So you can pick up yield in both ways. So we're either going to find minerals, energy, or any of the 3 research. Any of the 3 types of research. One thing I want to keep in mind is that society research is the most important. So boom, we just discovered that there's energy here that we can grab off of this moon, I'm guessing, from this like Saturn sort of looking area. So we're going to click on our construction ship, and we can right-click on the name under which the yield is under, and then we can build a mining station. This is going to cost us, it's going to cost us production, but either way, we're going to see our energy go up. This is going to be completely random every single time you pop up. Like, who knows what's in each system? So you got to keep that in mind, that you're not really going to understand. You're going to get a variety of things. A leader has gained a level. I will look into the leaders maybe in a part 2, but for now, and this is obviously our borders. Your borders will expand with time. You can colonize outside of your borders, just like in Civ 5, or you can technically colonize within your borders too. But I would suggest in the very beginning, I try to colonize outside the borders so I can expand my borders and grab up more systems. Because more systems mean more yields and more possible planets to colonize in the future. So I try to colonize as far as possible at first, really kind of build up my borders, and then start working the yield and the other planets that are already within the borders at that time. See, we found minerals here. We found minerals already in this planet. So I can, when this construction ship is done, which he's done right now, I can now instruct him to go over here, and he can build a mining station here, and this is going to give us an additional 2 per turn. And we're already working the energy, so the energy is at 3. So boom, our first crackball system has been surveyed. Now what we can do is we can select our science ship, and we can have them go explore someplace else. So this is all within our borders. You kind of want to explore the solar systems within your borders initially as quickly as possible, because you already know that you have the yield. This is all going to be your yield, no matter what. So no one else is going to be able to steal this away from you, unless, of course, there is a war or something like that. So he's surveying that right now. So that's where it gets very simple. I actually noticed that you're not really going to be using the galaxy. I'm sorry, the system map mode as much. You're going to play a majority of the game is actually in here in this map mode, because everything gets very, very big. It's very, very macro pretty quickly. So we only really found 2 different types of yields. This is an anomaly. Think of this as almost kind of like a natural wonder. These are things that pop up. You got to keep in mind failure risk. So it's at 30%. We can have him investigate, and he might actually, these might be better as compared to ruins. Sometimes you don't get anything from the ruins. So you can have your survey ship stop his surveying of the system for a little bit, and you can have him research this. I guess I will do that, and we might get a little bit of a bonus. So something very small, something just like a little ruin that you might find in Civ 5. There are also pretty much barbarians too. Okay, so our construction ship just finished the yield inside of our homeland system. So he's just going to have to sit there for now, because he has nothing else to do. Not until we figure out what's in the other systems. But there's also pretty much barbarians. Yep, signs of a battle. We didn't get anything from this, but it did allow us to, I think, look into our situation log. Yes. So we can choose to go into and research this a little bit more. So there's really no. I mean, if you're used to a Paradox game, this is kind of like missions, somewhat. The situation log is kind of like missions. And if you played Beyond Earth, actually, too, Beyond Earth has a mechanic like this, too, where you can investigate further. But you're going to spend your cog or your engineering research, so you're going to stop whatever you're researching in engineering, and you're going to research this instead. You got to keep that in mind. Right now, we can't do it because we need a level 3 scientist, and pretty much that's just experience, promotions. Promotions in Civ 5 act as, think about if your civilian units could get promotions just like your army units can. And obviously I have not chosen my research right now because there's kind of no point. But yeah, and this guy's going back to surveying the solar system. My final example is that yes, there are barbarians. They're called, actually, there are a few things. They can be pirates. There are space pirates, as well as there are like these like alien creature thingies. You'll see barbarians pretty much throughout the solar system. They won't really do much damage to you, but they do pretty much the same thing that they do in Civ 5, where barbarians will come into your lands and they'll pillage your tiles. They'll come into your solar system and they will destroy your. What did we build? So we built like, I don't know what it was. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot. Our mining station here. So, you'll see pirates come over here. They'll attack this, and obviously that's just, stopping the yields from being integrated into your empire. Then they'll leave. They're just as annoying as pirates. It's pretty hilarious. As barbarians. Pirates, it's so funny, the similarities. So they do the same thing. They just come in here, destroy your yield, and then they'll just leave. Just like barbarians. And there's like pirate stations, so just like barbarian encampments, they'll continue to pop up unless you destroy that pirate station. So anyways, that is kind of a very bare, basic tutorial. So now that you kind of got the gist of it, you're really going to have to explore the game a little bit more to be able to find out more and more. But because you kind of have this, hopefully if you've played Civ 5 enough, at least you'll be able to kind of reflect back to some of these mechanics that the way Stellaris works, and you'll be able to understand things a little bit easier. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna stop right there. Let me know in the comment section below if you'd like to see like a part 2 to this, or yeah, a part 2 to this, or maybe a paradox to maybe like an EU4 to Stellaris. But I think if you played EU4, you don't really need that much more help jumping into Stellaris. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.